You have covered Antonio Brown extensively, and from your talks with people all the way back to the Steelers and people that know him, what are they saying about Antonio Brown's situation right now?
Well, friends and family, people I've talked to are very concerned. He's really fired everybody that's worked for him in the last few years. He's alienated a lot of people. There's some bad influences around him. You hear that there are 15, 20 hanger-ons, and you don't know exactly what their agenda is. And I spoke to his brother recently, Desmond Brown. He told me he hopes Brown gets out of Miami, that's not the best place for him because in Pittsburgh he had a safe cocoon 6 months a year to sort of keep things in check. Right now he's there full-time in the city where he grew up, and it wasn't the best upbringing, and so it's become an issue.
Yeah, look, obviously you hope the best for Brown as a person, but do you see him playing in the NFL again?
I don't right now. I just think most people, when they talk about him, they worry about his well-being. They're not even worried about his situation on the field because he's got a looming suspension that was festering even before his recent trouble, the arrest, some of the public outbursts that you saw on Instagram. And so that's been building. I mean, he could be out of the league a year. Even if he were to get back in, he would be suspended.
And there's a grievance that he could win coming up soon. Why would that maybe make it worse for him?
Well, that's a good point because he's probably going to get the $9 million from the Patriots on that signing bonus. He's trying to get $40+ million from the Raiders and the money he signed there, the guaranteed money, and with the Patriots. He probably won't get all that from Oakland. There's a very good chance he gets the $9 million from New England. And then you're probably going to have, from what I hear, more lawsuits because he has 8, 10, 12 lawsuits of people he never paid. He's got a history for not paying for services and employment. So those are going to pile up again, try to take more of his money.
And Greeny, even Roger Goodell expressed concern about AB at the Super Bowl.
That's exactly right. There are two completely separate conversations to be had about Antonio Brown. The first is, and Josina brought it up, and I thought it was exactly the right topic, is about his well-being, his psychological well-being. And candidly, it's not my place or anyone else's place who doesn't know him personally to tell him what he should and needs to do. But I would say, as a person who's been in therapy myself for 30 years, his answer to her question was something that if I were close to him, I'd be advising him to look at more closely. I'll just leave it at that. Let's talk about the football part of this. If you're a general manager right now in the National Football League, would you consider bringing Antonio Brown onto your team if he were eligible?
Absolutely. It's an opportunity. Now, what I would do is I would make sure that, obviously, we're saying that he served his suspension, and as long as he gets the help that he needs, and we've seen it recently in the NFL, when someone's as productive as Antonio Brown, 6 consecutive years of 100 catches or more, players like Josh Gordon, Tyrann Mathieu, going back a few years, Michael Vick. And simply what I would say is, Antonio, you're coming in on a one-day contract. We are going to stand shoulder to shoulder with you and put you in the best place to be successful on the field and off the field. If today goes well, you could come back tomorrow.
Explain what you mean by a one-day contract.
So I would sign him to a veteran contract. We could work out a great incentive package, Greeny, but it would be non-guaranteed, meaning that if the head coach or owner said, hey, he is not what we need or he's not living up to his end of the bargain, we're going to cut him. But we're going to try to help him on the field and off the field. And candidly, I've done that in my career, guys like Plaxico Burress, Antonio Holmes, and it turned out to be great for not only the player, but for the team, but it has to be the right situation.
I mean, I have a propensity to defend players. I normally do, and I find myself on that side. But in this case, I can't understand how you could come to the conclusion that bringing Antonio Brown into any locker room would be beneficial for your team. And I'm one who thinks that the whole idea of distractions is overplayed. However, Antonio Brown is a live grenade at this point. And I understand his production and everything, but you can't just, whatever you drop in the locker room, whatever he does in that locker room, just because you pull him out doesn't mean that it changes what happens. If he's there throughout the entire offseason and he's doing the things that he does, my problem or the difficulty I have with defending Antonio Brown and could continue to support him because I've been one who defended him way back in the past when everyone's piling on him. The problem I have is his teammates, his former teammates, don't have kind things to say about him. Like you've seen Ryan Clark come on here, who is somebody who we all respect and know that is a team-first guy and will put everything on the line for his team. He will not defend Antonio Brown. And when guys like that who have played with him can't defend him, I can't defend the idea of putting him in my locker room at this point.
I understand that, and I would tend to agree. I would, however, ask you this question. If somehow it had worked out where Antonio Brown stayed with the Patriots all of this year and played, would they have won the Super Bowl?
They would have been a lot better. I still think the Chiefs would have won, but they might have seen them in the AFC Championship. It changes the dynamics of that team.
And, Nick, to your point, context is everything. If you put Antonio Brown in the New Orleans Saints, where you have strong leadership in Drew Brees and Sean Payton, You could take those risks because, again, it's one day. And if you do well, you can help us win a championship. If you're inconsistent in any way, showing up for rehab, calling out a play call, whatever it may be, you're gone. So it's one day at a time. And by the way, this could be a great opportunity. And your point is well taken. The difference between winning and losing is so small. He could be the difference in winning a title.
We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube.
For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app.
And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus. We'll see you there.